All right. Wow. All right. Sorry about my beard. Um, it is in tatters. The glasses are crooked as always, but I'm here to give it to you straight. Okay. All right. So let me talk about what I'm about to get into. As you can read on the title, um, I'm talking about perfection versus mediocrity. So let me first and foremost say thanks to the Most High for giving us this day, blessing us to be here. Today is called Labor Day, and I'm sure this has a deeper connection with slavery. I haven't made it just yet. I'm sure somebody would look on here and check it out and find out exactly what it means as far as Labor Day is concerned. Like I say again, my beard I didn't comb it out today, so at least I didn't comb it out just now. So it's uh it's almost 1 o'clock. So anyway, almost 1 a.m. But let me get to down to the nitty gritty. Okay, I'm not into appearances and all that kind of stuff too much, but I will say this. I want to talk about something, and I'm going to show you a video real quick of the late John Thompson Jr. and what he said and how it hit home to me so dramatically. Because it's the life that I know, the life that I've lived, and the life that my children right now, and the way that I raised them, are struggling in to kind of find a footing, a place to go and to be themselves. Because I myself grew up in the ghetto, okay, Compton, California, South Central LA, and stuff like that. And you have this delusion that you're going to take your kids out of the hood. You're going to graduate, and somehow you're going to get out of the hood, and you're going to make everything work and fine for your, not only yourself getting yourself out of the hood, but your children as well, and all this kind of stuff like that. And give them a different lifestyle, and they grow up in a lifestyle that is not conducive to, nor accepts them. Okay, so how that I'll talk about in a video maybe later, how kids in that, who are um, so-called black kids, are growing up in that suburb, that white suburb, and everything like that. How we find out later that that's probably not a great idea for our kids, and you learn this later on. And then I can also talk a little bit on tokenism. So how you end up becoming a token when you don't even know that you're a token, because you believe that you're running and you're working how you're supposed to work, you're doing what you're supposed to do, you got skills, you got value, all of this kind of stuff. But you have to understand that overall, overall, when you come to the table, when you first come to the table, um, there, even though you may have value and everything like that, there's a devalue that goes with it first. Okay, that comes along with your skin color first. And we living in a world where we have a lot of denial as far as that stuff is concerned. We like to deny that, and I was living in that world. I was living in that. I'm just telling the truth, about of the matter. I come from um, the hood in a pretty rough situation and everything like that, and I thought I was doing the right thing by getting my kids out and moving to the white suburbs and everything like that. But it ended up not being all what I thought it was going to be, as far as fairness and all of this kind of stuff. So I know there's a lot of people probably on the other side of this, that's at the other side of this at some point. If you ever see this video, like, ha 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 ha, you thought. And it was, and it's right. It's a correct way of putting it. I come from a long line of men who served in the military, in my family. So I have uncles who served in the military. My father served in the military. I don't know about my grandfather. I won't say not my grandfather on my mom's side. I mean on my dad's side, he didn't serve. I don't believe. But my mom on my dad, my grandfather on my mom's side, he served. He was also in the Navy, Korean War, and all this kind of stuff like that. So again, I come from a long line of men serving in the military. I myself served for 13 years in the Missouri National Guard, Air National Guard, and I was a full time guy. So it was kind of like, you were the U.S. Air Force, um, BDUs, and all this kind of stuff like that day to day. And I did that for years. So again, um, I was able to get a degree, get a few degrees. I got my associate's degree in aerospace technology operations. I got my bachelor's degree in history, and then um, I got my master's degree as a master of arts in teaching, social sciences. So I did all three of those. You think all the doors are going to open, fall where they may, and everything like that. But let's go out. I digress. Let me get back to John Thompson thing. I probably bored you to death, but hopefully I can play this real quick. I want you to see this video by John Thompson and John Thompson Jr., the great coach of Georgetown, the Hoyas. Um, a long time ago, especially during their legendary time frame when they were putting out players like Patrick Ewing, Alonzo Mourning, Allen Iverson. I mean, the list goes on of the greats who John Thompson Jr. put out. So Dikembe Mutombo, let me not forget him. Again, he was the guy who was like the center whisperer. He brought a bunch of centers into the league for a while. He was bringing all the dominant centers into the league. He did not bring Shaquille O'Neal into the league, but again, he did a lot of he put a lot of those guys in. All right, so anyway, let me play this video, share this with you real quick.
Is simply because there are a whole lot of white
Hopefully you can hear this.
who are unsuccessful.
Fair use, fair use,
Blacks
fair
don't
use.
have to win the national championship to get an opportunity to coach. And I have that. You hear that in relation to education. You hear that in relation to professors. You ask, why don't you have more black professors? I will take a black if he's competent. Well, hell, there's a hell of a lot of whites failing. All we want is an opportunity to get out there and to try, and a right to fail also. And respectfully, I'm saying that to you. I'm sick of us having to be perfect to get the job. I don't want to be perfect to get the job. You know what I have a problem with? I have a problem.
All right, so I don't know if you saw the video. Hopefully you've seen the video. You've seen the link to the video. Let me. I didn't put that in the description, but I'll put it somewhere or the other. But again, you have John Thompson. If you didn't hear that, John Thompson Jr., longtime Georgetown Hoyas coach. He's done a lot of stuff. Anyway, I want to get into the resume. Passed away about 4 years ago, I believe, at the age of 78 or something like that. Anyway, rest in peace, John Thompson Jr. And so he was saying in that video how blacks, so-called black people who are in high up positions are oftentimes they're the greatest in their position. They have to be great. They have to be perfect in what they're doing. They have to do a perfect job, because as soon as they don't do a perfect job, they get the axe. You can't even get to that level if you're black and you're not doing a perfect job. And he was saying, if you are white, on the contrary, you don't have to have, you can be mediocre, you can get chances, you can get opportunities to fail, and fail again and go somewhere else and fail again. And you're going to continue to get opportunity after opportunity after opportunity is going to develop itself. You can have a resume of losing, but you're still going to get opportunities where, well, it may work out here. Let's, wish you a better, luck here or whatever. You don't have to, that pressure of having to win the national title and all those kind of things. But if you are a coach or whatever, if you're rare to your field and you have black skin, brown skin really, and you're doing something, you have to be at the top of the list. You cannot be, and the portrayal for a long time was as if that person who is performing, that person, that black person, that person with the black skin who is doing this stuff to get in their field and be the top person in their field and all this kind of stuff, is somehow meeting a quota, when this is the absolute best of the best, by and far, with producing results and stuff like that. You just, again, you have to produce the results, because if you don't produce the results, then they taking you down. You got to go down. You can't sit up in the position and have, you're not going to have that many shots at it. Most likely you're going to have very few shots. Again, you got to be on somebody's list. If you've seen what I wrote about, what I talked about when I was talking about nepotism, then this kind of goes into that, right? But it's the good old boy system, and we got to understand that this has always been a good old boy system, and it will always be a good old boy system. So it doesn't matter how competent you are. We see that, and the very sad part about it is that our people, especially the fraternity brothers and sisters out there, have bought into this way of doing things. I worked as a teacher for years, and when I worked in this one district, they wanted to let me know, because I was already on the list of, um, for destruction, as far as getting rid of, not, making sure you don't have opportunities, financial castration, I should say, that they perpetrate on you. If as I told you, I got my degrees and all this kind of stuff like that. I worked as much as possible. I always work hard to, because you just don't have a whole lot of room to make mistakes. But what I thought was, on the work, on the job, I had the delusion that I was just like anybody else. So when I started to voice my opinion against leadership and people in high up positions, then you start bucking the system, because they are relying on you to be the workhorse that you are. So you're the workhorse. You go run stuff down, and that's what I did in the military. That's what I did as a teacher. You try and run stuff down. I was coaching, I was teaching, doing all this stuff at the same time. You're just leaping through this. I remember one of my dudes who was teaching with me. I won't call him a fellow teacher, because nobody was fellow teachers. You just had these people who didn't mess with you, and these people trying to screw you over. So you had to figure out who you're dealing with from day to day. So again, I see all this stuff about black men and black women and all this kind of stuff. Let me not get into that. I don't want to get into that, but I would say leadership fraternities is a huge thing. Leadership and fraternities is a huge thing, because they all have those fraternal connections, and that's why I start understanding how corrupt the system really was. If you don't know anybody, and I didn't know anybody, I just felt like I worked on merit. I thought that merit alone would take care of everything that I needed to do. So I didn't really watch my back politically and all of these kind of things. I didn't watch what I said. I broke all, I broke so many of the 48 laws of power rules out there. I don't believe in those things. I wouldn't live by them even if I knew them. That's not my character. I'm not about to abide by this, because it's all about white supremacy, period. And if you go back to not only the 48 laws of power, because you can get a lot of those rules out of the 48 laws of power in the book The Prince by Machiavelli, and who wrote the book for the Medici family and all of this kind of stuff like that back in old Italy, back in the 1500s and stuff like that, the 16th century. So that's what Tupac was talking about. All this kind of stuff like that. Would you rather be feared than loved, and all this kind of stuff? There was what if you delve into deeper into what they were talking about. They're talking about governance, how to be a prince. So they break down the book for you about how to be a prince and all this kind of stuff. I really suggest that you guys get into that. If you're in the 48 Laws of Power, you might as well go into the Prince Machiavelli and read that book as well, and see how they break it down. They talk about not leaving an enemy. If you're an enemy to one of them, they got to ride you into the ground. They got to make sure you're done. They got to make sure you're unalive, incapacitated, not able to ever come back. So if you run into an issue with any of these people, this is the kind of fight you have to expect to have, and they don't fight you up front, ahead, in front of everybody, and all this kind of stuff. They are cowards. They are all cowards. So they're gonna do everything like a worm. They're gonna do everything underground. They're gonna do everything on their belly. They're gonna hide everything. They're gonna throw the stone, hide the hand. All of that kind of stuff. That's what you're running into. And so, you can never run it down. You got all these theories that you're coming up with and all this kind of stuff. And it's just great for them because as you speak about all these conspiracy theories about what might be happening to you and everything like that, you are looking unhinged. You are looking like you are mentally ill. And you see my videos on mental illness, and I'm sure not many of you have, and I don't know how many of you will see this, but if you see my videos on mental illness, then you'll see what I'm talking about. How mentally ill, that just runs back into the trap of back in the 60s, how they made paranoid schizophrenia with delusions into a black disease during, or a black condition, I should say. I shouldn't say disease. I keep saying disease, but a black condition back in the 1960s. So if you were pro black in any kind of way and you're expressing pro blackness, then you are considered a schizophrenic, a paranoid schizophrenic, especially when the government, and the government will, unless you're sanctioned some kind of way, come down on you. They will come down on you, and they will start doing stuff to mess with you, just like they did when with everything that Martin did. And Martin, as we talk, Martin Luther King Jr. was talking about peace. Peace. He was peace talking, nonviolent, none of that stuff. So imagine, it don't matter if you're coming soft, how you walking, because they got the same destination for you, and they got the same destination for me. It doesn't matter. If you can help them push their agenda forward, then they can use you. Absolutely, you can prolong your time frame of being of use to them until they get to a point where they're you of no use, and they're going to get rid of you too. Just like, rest in peace, was it Herman? I can't think of what his name was, but he was the Republican presidential candidate years ago. The pizza guy, 999, and all of that kind of stuff like that. And he died of COVID. They didn't give him the. They didn't come to his rescue and give him. And I'm not laughing at the situation, but they didn't come. I kind of am laughing at the situation. They didn't come to his rescue. He's pushing heavy the agenda of white supremacy, and you never know what people are doing in the shadows, and what things that you might be doing to offend certain people. And so, when it was time and he caught COVID, he was done. Nobody came and gave him the treatment that a lot of people get when they get sick with COVID, if they have white skin, or if they're going with the white agenda, so to speak. And I'm not trying to stir up hate. hate speech or nothing like that. I just want to speak straight facts on this. Straight facts. I'm not, stoking anything or anything like that. I want to stoke your mind to understanding that, what what level of perfection we have to be at in order to just be considered ordinary, just to be on a ordinary on a plain average level of any average white man. Like I said, I I live on a block. I don't know how many people on my block, and I live on a block with majority white people, and in a white community. Period. And so I don't know how many people um, have are as on my level as far as degrees are concerned. I doubt that many of my neighbors have a degree. They don't need a degree. They don't require all the schooling. My wife has an associate's, and also she also has a bachelor's degree, and she also was certified to teach. And I was certified to teach as well. I'm still certified to teach in a few states, but what they do and how they come after you. You really have to understand that the system is not going to go along with anything that you say, because the system is built a certain way. So just like Colin Kaepernick, and what happened to him, as far as his NFL career being over, they will do the same to you as a teacher. They will do the same to you as whatever. They will financially castrate you. The fact that that happened to him in the public was the only, and he had money to like fight it and understanding of certain things. It really helped him out in that whole situation. He won lawsuits and stuff like that, even though he wanted to still play. He couldn't go back and play and all those kind of things. But you have to be super exceptional in order to be on a regular, normal level kind of thing. And that's what John Thompson was saying. He was saying, "Hey, I'm tired of having to be perfect when this guy over here is a complete bum, but his uncle Richie is the president of whatever, some yacht club." And that's what's happening in this place. Is you If you don't know anybody who's in charge of the yacht club and whatnot, and this goes across color lines. Like I said, when it comes to the bourgeoisie, the black bourgeoisie, or whatever, or you want to call them, then they are, you know, working on a different level. They're all of the Prince Hall Masons, and they run churches, they run everything in our community. But you see, there's no advancement in a lot of places in our community. They run the NAACP. They run, if you look at all of this kind of stuff, they run our radio stations. They all have affiliation with one fraternity or another, one sorority or another. And even Kamala Harris, she is a part of that whole thing. She's a part of that group that make up these people. She is an AKA. So people were asking whether or not she's black or not. It doesn't matter whether or not she's black. She's Greek. She's Greek. They gonna support her. So that means that the people who help stoke, they right behind you. Those degree people who are influencers that they put right there on purpose to check out those people's resume and see if they're not AKA, see if they're not I don't even Omega Sci-Fi, all of those cats, the Alpha Kappas and all of this kind of stuff, all those cats, all the Divine Nine folks out there. So she's a Divine Nine people. That's why you're gonna get that backing from that angle, no matter what. So those are the influencers who go out in our community. Those are the same people who convinced people and people of color who went out and got the jab to go out there and get the jab. It comes from them. They are in the highest positions of our society. They are, if you're going to have a black dentist, that's where they're from. If you're going to have a black lawyer, that's where they're from. If you're going to have all these black professionals, Okay, I myself did not go to through that route. I didn't go that route. So usually people who don't go that route have different variations of success as far as getting into certain fields and passing certain tests that they have set up in order to make sure that we don't get to certain positions and certain level in numbers. Okay. So the bar, they're gonna bar you from doing who you think that's for. You think that's for somebody else? Who do you think that's for? The bar. Come on now. They're barring who? They're barring who? Look at eugenics. Look at what they're doing with eugenics and what they did with eugenics. Who are they calling feeble minded every year with the school systems and the testing and all this kind of stuff like that? The standardized tests. All of these standardized tests is just to tell your kids over and over again every year that they're dumber, that they're dumber, 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 dumber. That's what it does. That's why we set up to say white supremacy, white supremacy, white supremacy. Why aren't these test scores secret? Why aren't they kept only by the state? Why are they publicized? Why are we always making divisions of things black and white, and we're the ones who's supposed to be somehow obsessed with race and color and everything? We're not the ones who established race and color. We're not the ones who created race and color. We're not the ones who did this and created this world that we live in right now in any way, shape, or form. We didn't. We helped. We contributed as the actual builders, the executioners of these things for the most part, right? Once we came up with ideas and stuff like that, you took it, made it your own, built it, everything, right? And we've seen that that's what it looks like. And it's the same thing with music, everything, rock and roll, all the music. They take it, you make it theirs. They from Elvis Presley being the king of rock to Eminem, who they want to make the king of rap right now. This is not an accident. Those people are not set up to be that way just because. It didn't just happen that way. I guarantee you that the three-letter folks probably had something to do with both of those men's career. I won't say probably. I mean, come on. All of the army movies and everything they got out of Elvis, everything they wrote him to the wheel fell off in movies, every propaganda that they wanted to set up, they put him in an army uniform, all this kind of stuff like that. And he didn't come from no like a rich background or anything like that, so of course he's going to end up being a hero. Same thing with Eminem, right? You don't see him coming from some rich background and all this kind of stuff. What's the background that they came from? But they got the right skin tone to really get pushed. They want to, and Elvis was with it. I don't know if Eminem is really like with all that kind of stuff. But again, you can be mediocre and you can make it in this country, doing ridiculousness, but you have to be supreme in your position if you're going to make it as a person who has my skin tone. But not only do you have to be that, you have to make sure that you maintain a certain level of your head down, right? Even though you might be exceptional at what you're doing and everything like that, it's like they're setting you up. Whenever there's an opportunity to take you down, they're going to take you down. They've been plotting your takedown for a long time. They've been plotting your takedown for a long time. As soon as you step on the scene and you start having success and everything like that, there's somebody plotting your takedown. They were plotting it before you got up there. They were plotting it before you got up there. And as soon as you got up there, it's already a trap door, right? They done pushed it so many times, and sometimes you don't fall in it. But they're gonna find a way to get you to fall through that trap door. Bill Cosby, R. Kelly. Now, and they're convicted by the public before anything ever happens. Just word of mouth. It's so easy. If it's that easy to take a man, such as Bill Cosby, and destroy, absolutely destroy his legacy, absolutely mangle his legacy the way that they did, so quick. They destroyed it. And if you think that that's something that just came up, come on now. They took this man's son out first. So that mean he wasn't all the way with it. He was really trying to do something. If indeed, when you start seeing that there's consequences for somebody, some kind of action that somebody's having, well, and it maybe not, maybe, like I said, they always got you on the list anyway. You always on the list. It's just a matter of executing whatever plan that they have against you. Period. Well, I don't care how famous you are. That's who, what did Malcolm X say about our leaders? And we see what they did to our political leaders. So everybody moved in the way and went in the way of entertainment. The entertainers may stick around a little bit longer because they're entertaining everybody. Depends on how good they are. But at some point they're gonna pay the price as well. And the first thing they typically do, and either they do it while you're alive or while you've already been deceased for a while, they're gonna start throwing stuff in to destroy your character. Look at how long it took for them to start destroying the character of Martin Luther King, Martin Luther King Jr. You didn't hear all this stuff when we were growing up, and they were showing us all the videos and all this kind of stuff like that. What did you hear the most? Nonviolence. We shall overcome. We all together. We all, you know, let's do this thing together. We can stand up to the racists and put it down, and that's what we believe because that's what they wanted us to believe, and that's what I grew up believing. And that's what I grew up thinking. Oh, I think we can get over this racism thing. Foolishly, foolishly, thinking that somehow that our former captors would be somehow all of a sudden fair. And as of recent, like I've been saying, and I've said before, and I've been thinking about, is who's ever gotten out of a an abusive relationship with somebody without somebody getting some kind of help, without somebody, and even then the odds of it getting better, the relationship recovering, and this person not abusing you is almost nil. This person has been putting their hands on you for years. Domestic violence. I know, ladies, it's changed these days and everything like that, but some people still suffer from domestic violence. And so these people who suffer from this domestic violence, it's the same, that person's going to keep putting hands on you. Period. It's a power thing. And if it's in their mind, they've already done it. They've already had the dopamine release and everything, the dopamine dump on that power surge that they had over you whenever they were strangling you or doing whatever they were doing unto you. They already had that. So they're going to keep going back to the well, keep doing stuff to you again and again. And so what ends up happening in those relationships is there's several things that is always the outcome. The outcome is that the abusee leaves. The abuser almost never tends to leave the abusee. Either the abusee leaves, finds some kind of place to go, and hope that the abuser don't pursue, or the abusee never gets a chance to try to leave, and it goes down right there. The unalivements in that whole situation, of course, is horrible. And then on the other side of it, when women, and historically women, been in situations like that, even when they want to, even when the ladies have wanted to defend themselves, it ends up in the same as an unaliving one way or the other. or having to run away across the country and different neighborhoods and different shelters. We have shelters. We have shelters for women who are abused or in abusive relationships so that they can get away and become, uh, what do you call that? Anonymous and everything. And just get out of Dodge and make sure that this man doesn't find this woman, you know, and do what he wants to do to her. So, um, you know, so you have all of that kind of stuff going on. You have, this thing. Those relationships never get better unless and it and I'll say unless somebody leaves and escapes and gets away and never returns, and maybe you talk to that person after you've gotten to a position of empowerment and you've gotten therapy and you've gotten help and all this kind of stuff. Us as black people have never received therapy. We've never received any kind of therapy. We just haven't. So we're talking about all the mental health things, of course. Why wouldn't we have mental health issues? It's even in the scriptures. Madness. You shall be stricken with madness. This is all in Deuteronomy 28. We read the curses in 28. This is the things that are occurring right now. Right now. Of course, the oppression maketh the wise man mad. Okay. Again, scripture after scripture after scripture. We're living it. We are. We haven't been. We are have been in an abusive relationship, and we in the same house still. We didn't go to a shelter. We didn't move out. We didn't go to refugee camps anywhere to try to help us out. We didn't try to get some kind of structure, any kind of court order. There's no court order. We try to get court orders and stuff like that, but the court's against us because the court is a system of the abuser. What shall I say? Dred Scott case that you can't even defend yourself in the court of law because you are not a citizen of the United States government. Okay, whoa. And then later on, we're going to say the 13th and the 14th Amendment fixed that. Well, some people don't like to count the 13th and the 14th Amendment, even though they love the Bill of Rights, because if somebody was to come and try to take away the Bill of Rights from them, there'll be a whole hell to pay. So in an abusive relationship, you can't just keep living in the house with the abuser. It doesn't work that way. Not if somebody doesn't go to counseling. If the abuser is refusing counseling, what happens with the abuser in abusive situations? Abusive situations always turns up in situations where you have conversation where women are saying, um, where women are being gaslit, I guess you would say, right? Where the abuser starts saying, "Look what you made me do." Right? That's a famous one. Look what you made me do. You made me hit you again. You made me do this. And what does the abusee start to do? I made him do that. I made him hit me. I made him haul off and do that again. That was my fault. I antagonized him. I didn't have his stuff ready like it was supposed to. I knew what was required of me, and I didn't do it. That's why he continues to abuse me, because it's what I do wrong. I'm the villain in this situation, you see. So this country is very good at making the oppressed people be the villain. So it continues to play out that the oppressed continues to be the villain. The oppressed, the more oppressed you are, the more villainized you are. The more oppressed you are, when they want to oppress you, the more villainized you are. Right? That's what an abuser does. He gaslights you. You're the reason why I'm doing this. You're making me do this. I don't know why you're making me do this to you. That's an abuser. And I know anybody who's listening to me, you've heard this somewhere before. That is where we're living. That's what we're living in. That's the world we're living in. So until we get out of this house, until we get some seek some help, so until our abuser seeks some help, we're going to continue under oppression. We're going to continue under oppression, and we're going to continue being oppressed, and we're going to continue having people who are in our family who have what's the lady's name? um, you know the syndrome that I'm talking about. When you identify them with your captors and whatnot. So that's what I'm talking about. Stockholm syndrome. So Stockholm syndrome is what you end up with in a situation like that. Is and so we're upset sometimes that we have traitors amongst our amongst us, meaning that people who are gatekeepers and stuff like that, we have all of these issues and everything like that. But everybody who's in an oppressive situation, in a slave state or those kind of situations, under those situations and under those pressures, you're going to develop different characters and different characteristics of people who believe that this is how you need to behave in order to survive this. There's some people who wants to go along with everything, and maybe it'll end someday, but most of the time those people feel like everything's good to go until the system turns on them, until they have to learn their place, until they have to understand that the only reason why they're in the position that they are is to poop is to poop on their brothers and sisters, and that's their value. Their value is that they don't have any scruples to stop themselves from being the worm that they are and backstabbing somebody and put them in a whole situation, get them sold down the river. Well, so they will continue being the people that they are, and so that's what Africa is dealing with right now. um, with the dictators, with people taking over, and dictators are being set up by Western countries to set up coups and stuff like that against the people who want the colonial powers out of Africa, out of that part of Africa right now, and that needs to keep going on. But they've always put corruption above us, and once they put corruption above us, then we are stuck in perpetual, you know, conditions that we are oppressed. So, like I say, I stepped out of line, and started questioning things a few years ago, but I couldn't be happier that I did. That I had to wake up from the matrix that I was in, and thinking and believing that this was some kind of fair. There was fairness to this system, and it says, well, all you have to do is put in a little bit, put a little elbow grease in there, and you can work your way through it. What's everybody complaining about? It's what they want you to do. And I didn't really, I never looked at my people and hated my people. I was just like, there's more of us who can get through this and do the best that we can, and all of this kind of stuff like that. Then we know, like my best friend, he got PhD, all this kind of stuff like that. All these successful people that I know who have pushed past and gotten along, gotten to um, do well or survive. I'm gonna say will do well, but survive in the system, uh, you know. And so didn't understand that there's political powers that are in places that are just waiting for your name to come across their desk, and waiting for your name to come across their table, for them to just start laying into you with whatever they can. Like I say, I'm a guy who got 3 degrees, and I might be one of those dudes that you see, if I had an opportunity working at McDonald's or something like that. That's what Dave Chappelle was talking about. He had a buddy who went to school, did all this kind of stuff, and he ended up with a law degree or something like that, or went to law school, and he ended up working at Foot Locker. I said McDonald's, Foot Locker. That was one of his jokes, was saying, the guy never it never occurred to him to unalive himself during that whole process. But he had been through that process of being blackballed, probably, and so he got a small opportunity, and he just shut up and just went to his corner and just did his thing. See, my problem is I don't shut up so much. I just keep talking, you know, because I'm not going to play the game the way they want me to play the game. I was born into this, but I'm not going to bow down to none of this, to none of this stuff. I'm gonna resist, you know, oppression. Um, that's what we have to be here for, or resisting oppression. And it's crazy for me to say that, and to know that just saying that is incendiary to some people. For me to say resist oppression is incendiary to some people. That is war talk from me, from saying resist oppression, because they know it's oppression. They know who's oppressing you. They know all of this kind of stuff. And like I said, they send your own people to push your buttons. You think Malcolm was the only one who they sent their people into, his own people into doing that to him? There was a reason why they sent his own people in there, people with his own skin tone in there to lay him down, right? You're talking for these people, you're expressing for these people, you're fighting for these people, and they say, if you love these people so much, we're going to get these people to go against you. That sounds like somebody else 2,000 years ago as well. We're going to get your own people to say this against you, and then we're going to execute you. So that's the world we live in. So again, having degrees and everything like that, you end up, you know, and I know a lot of people out there. I see a lot on TikTok, a lot of sisters out there bragging about their degrees and success, and why he ain't doing numbers like me and all this kind of stuff. Why the black man is not achieving what the black woman is because, like I said, I got 3 degrees, and I can't have a job and be the women who have degrees and the men who have degrees, who are same color, same ilk, and all this kind of stuff. They're the ones who are oppressing me because they use them to do their work and to do their oppression. They use them, and they do it. They do it happily. They do it happily. And that's the only joy you get out of power and positions and stuff like that, because everything else becomes pretty empty. Everything else becomes pretty shallow. So again, that's what I'm dealing with. And you can get on here and be disgruntled and all this kind of stuff, but I was born into this world and I did not know what it fully was. Even though you get the history and everything that they feed you, right? So you fed that history, you digest that history, and you just can't. Something ain't right. There's things that aren't occurring. Like, man, we haven't since then. We haven't, and then you start seeing where we have. We have set ourselves up for success. We have. Everybody keeps bringing up Tulsa and everything. You think Tulsa was the only place that went down like that? You better look at wherever they say that there was a race riot. You better understand that's code for whites genocide. You better understand that that means genocide. That there's one side attacking the other side with few resources, few nothing. You got nothing. You got sticks and stones, right? But you have veterans and you got stuff like that that they had to start looking at and had to start scrapping up against and all this kind of stuff like that. But I want to say this: believe what you want until you get to that street, until you get to that place where OJ had to get to. and OJ still didn't. He still kept being OJ. That was a remarkable thing about that. I don't know if he was guilty. He was guilty or not. Everything was innuendo. I don't know if he was guilty or not. I know Johnny Cochran was found guilty. I know they found him guilty. Another brother out there, another one who was excelling in his field, was doing all this kind of stuff, and then he had to pay the price. I'm telling you. And we think all of these people are just going off and having natural, deaths and all this kind of stuff like that. Michael Jackson, come on, man, that wasn't natural. Prince, we know that wasn't natural. All these things y'all think these people once they are done with you, and you could be at the top of the game and worshipped by all people and everything, but once you don't have once you don't have any usefulness and you've lived out your usefulness, then they gotta peacefully remove you from the scene. You see? And so that's when they start studying all your habits, everything you do, everywhere you go, all of this kind of stuff like that until they get to that point where they got you checkmate. And that's what they're doing. So and that's how they work it. So, you know, and and we can get into how this is all related to scripture. We can get to how it all falls into scripture. Every last piece of what I just said falls into scripture. That's why I don't get excited about it, because I know this is something that we must walk through. And you got people who will say, "Oh, you just living for another life after this life and all this kind of stuff." And it's like, nah. It's like, first of all, life is very short. Live it out. Enjoy your life no matter what. I don't care what's trying to hold you down. Enjoy whatever you have left and everything. Never, allow the negativity to bring you down. You got to keep on pushing no matter what happens. You just keep on pushing. Why give up? Life is short enough. Life is short enough. Before you know it, we're going to all be out of here. We could be out of here. They're going to be 21, 25, and whatnot. So, again, we don't have to push no button or try and get out of here anytime sooner. That don't make any sense to me. That never made sense to me. Um, just try and figure out your space. And sometimes when you can't find, or they not, they trying to set up your employment to be, some kind of trap or something like that. Um, you know, I don't know what the brother's name was down in one of those southern states where the guy went to work and disappeared, man. And so, like I said, it can happen at work, all this kind of stuff. We got so many people disappearing. We got so many people coming up missing some kind of way. And this is all documented cases, man. But ain't nobody looking for them because they already know. So again, man, this is it. It's about to come up, and they talking about a lot of different things and the different scenarios, but we already being oppressed, we already under attack, we already you know they talk about another civil war happening and everything like that, but that civil war has already occurred. It's already being waged for years and years and years. We've already been being attacked psychologically, and that's the problem. It's a psychological war. That's the biggest war. It's a psychological war. So if we don't start thinking psychologically and start understanding that the war is up here, then we never going to get it together. And that's what they depend on. That's what they need, for us not to be paying attention, because they're talking about us, because we've been children. We've not been able to read and get ourselves, and now we are. Now we're moving into this space, and I know that terrified them whenever you had one of us in the White House, because we always dominate our field wherever you put us, right? Tiger Woods, exceptional. Like, I'm just saying, you can go down the line of exceptional. Arthur Ashe. What happened to all these people who were exceptional? You're gonna have your moment in the sun, and as soon as they can snuff it out, they are gonna snuff it out. Is once they can get rid of you, they're gonna get rid of you. And destroying your character, especially by the hand of your own people, is important aspect of what they're doing to you first. You can't put anything past when they really focus on you, when they really concentrate on you individually, they want to take you out, then you'll see a lot of things that you would never believe in life before. It's like, you telling it, you're like, man, I would have never, I'm a skeptic, at heart. So conspiracy theories and all the crazy stuff that go, I'm typically a skeptic. I'm a skeptical person. So, you know, most things I don't believe, when you start hearing certain conspiracy theories, but I'm starting to understand you better wait and really understand what's happening here. But there is those people who work under those three letters, um, who put out misinformation all the time. And so, a lot of the stuff we seeing on this platform right now is some truth going out with some falsities, and that's how propaganda works all the time. There's some truths going out with some falsities. So I don't know how much falsities I've taken in, digested, believed, and I don't know how many you have. It seems to be like something is going on right now with the balance of understanding, and that goes along with scripture too, with all the prophets and the false prophets and all this kind of stuff that's going to be coming out around during this time frame. So we are in the time of false prophets, and that's why we have so much stuff going on. So if you can stay, you want to stick with the scripture, because some people are saying the Bible is written by da 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 and all this kind of stuff like that. I understand. I understand, but you have an ancient book that's been written a long time ago that have certain perspectives that line up with everything that has happened and everything that is going to happen. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and bank my own personal experience. I'm gonna with the Most High. I've I've experienced the Most High, and so I will say. Um, I you know I I don't have to believe in God. I know there's a God because all the stuff, all everything that I've ever encountered. So right now it's the time to put all your hope, all your everything in the Most High. And I'm not saying don't do anything to just think somebody's and imagine somebody's going to come out of the sky. That's not how history happens necessarily. So you got to understand when your opportunity is going to show themselves, present themselves, because you think that the Most High works one way, and it's just not that way. But you cannot get over the fact that we didn't just materialize out of nowhere in the intelligence that we have and all this kind of stuff. It's just not just you would have to be it would have to be more miraculous in the way that they have explained the Big Bang theory. I don't know what you believe in, and I don't understand atheist really at the core of everything to say that we can exist some kind of way, and all these matrices and matrices and all these kind of different things can exist some kind of way without a designer, without somebody who put some thought to this. There's too much structure in what we do and what we are, to believe that we just somehow ended up on this rock and don't have a purpose or anything like that, you know. And so I'm gonna go with the book with the ancient fellas. And even though I understand the skepticism behind it and everything like that, but you know, I'm gonna invest where I need to, and not because um, I need something to believe in. If I'm like, okay, you dead, you go, okay. You still got to live your life by something. And I choose to live my life and choose to understand because of my experiences and my collective experience and my collective education that I've received in this. in this earth to continue my faith because it's that important to me, right? Something's got to be at the core of everybody, and at the core of me is my faith. So, you know, that's just me because I was born in it, I was raised in it, and I've seen different aspects of it and everything like that. But that's what I choose to do, and we all have free will to choose to do what we want to do. So, I don't believe that living this life for material gain and everything is where it's at either. Some people have the attitude or the idea that you better get it while you can. You need to get it while you can, get it while the getting's good, and all this kind of stuff. But I've seen so many people with money and positions and stuff like that be miserable. It's never what you think it's going to be. You just listen to people who have money sometimes. And I'm not saying it's not good to have your resources and bills and all this kind of stuff taken care of. But if you look at what people tend to do in a lot of situations is as soon as your income goes up, the quality of life for you go up, and your bills just become just like you working a regular job. And at some point you're going to hit the wall of, especially if you're an entertainer or something like that, you're just going to retire. You're not going to keep being able to, keep up with what you set yourself up to do. And that happens to a lot of people, especially a lot of new money who don't understand how to okay, oh, let me buy this mansion that's $30 million and everything like that. Okay, so what is the taxes that you're gonna have to pay on that mansion every year that you own it? After you finish playing, after you finish, you're gonna have to sell your house at some point because now you're gonna learn about these taxes. Plain and simple. So, a lot of times we run off and do that. And all those cars that you bought too, those nine, Aston Martin, Lambos, all those different cars that you wanted. Guess what? You got to pay taxes on those too. You have to pay taxes on those too. Oh, by the way, you got to pay insurance on them and all of this kind of stuff. There's no stop to it. So once you finish doing what you're doing in order to bring in that income, those prices are not going to go down for what you have to pay for. They're probably going to go up in cost, and while you're living on a retiree salary. Okay, so that's why you have to make up opportunities for yourself and build opportunities for yourself in order um, to sustain. And it's hard for a young person who's 23, 24, 22, 21 years old, playing basketball, playing football, and all this kind of stuff like that, to really put that thing together. But not only those people are, fall for the same shenanigans and everything like that. We got people who become doctors and just successful, and they do the same thing. And it's a little harder to miss it sometimes when you're working in those kind of fields, but a lot of times we can miss out, um, and we don't have the understanding that we should have financially before, in order to do that. So anyway, I just want to share that with you. um, that was on my mind about mediocrity, especially when I seen the thing with John Thompson. I know that went trailed a long way, but hopefully I've stayed the course on mediocrity and how you have to be exceptional, as a black person in this country to have any kind of success that's going to be long lasting. And when they want to wheel you out, get rid of you, trash you, do whatever they want to do, they're coming after you. And that's every last one of us that they've done this to. And, if you don't have that nepotism and not connected to people who sometimes are connected to people who can cover you in some kind of way, you're going down in the worst way. And that's the way it happens. That's the way our country is. And nobody on the earth is going to step up and do anything. The only person who's stepping up and doing or saying anything right now is Vladimir Putin, and the folks who are banning with him because he has I guess, enough of a say so, militarily say so. The only people who are anywhere close to us on the map, as far as uh, tactical abilities and abilities to deliver nuclear armaments and different things like that, that would be a threat. So, he's using his influence on one side, we're using our influence on the other side. But that's the way it seems. That's the way it seems. Like I said, I'm a skeptic. So, um, and I guess that's a conspiracy theory on the side too. That, sometimes you think people are working against each other and they're not working against each other. They're pimping you. You got this. They're good cop, bad copping you, and and you think you're running from one for something better on the other side, and you run into the same thing, and that's oppression. And so you got Africans who are walking away from the West and their heavy hand tactics to supposedly a nice new colonizer who's coming to help put Africa together and everything like that. Oh, by the way, can you give me your resources while you're at it? I can still get your resources for dirt cheap. And then, you know, after that, I can get your resources for dirt cheap. I can keep causing wars and instability in your country again and again for as long as I want to continue to exploit your people and exploit your land. And you're not seeming to uh, be wiped out by these different viruses that I'm placing on you. The HIV/AIDS didn't work and wiping out the whole continent. We thought it was going to work. That worked pretty well because that got rid of a lot of Africans. That got rid of a lot of people in the world, period. But we left it in Africa and let it ruminate and do its thing. Now we're trying testing monkeypox. We would love the monkeypox to work because the monkeypox has the word monkey on it. So we can put all of those innuendos in together on the same thing. Okay. And then virus after Ebola, da 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 da. All these things, come on, they come from the same factory or whatever you want to call it that happened out of Wuhan. That they're cooking these things in these labs and these factories and everything, and they're putting them out in places that they want to do what they want to do the same thing and have the same effect that they had here in the Americas in wiping out as many people as they possibly could in the genocide that they have here through smallpox, right? So they want to look at and have the same success. um, they want to have Africa black free if they can. If they can, that makes sense, right? You just have all the resources, and let's not step on the lines or the toes of what we have carved out earlier. We know what we want as far as that's concerned. If those powers still exist that once carved out a piece of this, then they can still maybe have a slice. So yeah, it's just again, get rid of Africans. We can take Africa and have everything that's there, all the richness of the continent and all that kind of stuff. So that's where we're kind of headed to, and that's why they don't want us back over there either. We will talk too much. We don't shut up. We don't know when to shut up. We live here. We understand the nature, closer nature of on that side of it. But I don't want to say the Africans don't understand the nature of a colonizer because they do. But when it seems like they're catering to them, we're not used to seeing Africans stand up, and that's why it's so important. And they're not used to seeing us stand up either, because every time we stand up, we're gonna end up with a hole a hole in us or something. And that's okay. That's what we supposed to experience in this place. And so I rather die a thousand deaths, you know, uh, free or fighting for freedom than to give in and to just say this is what. Yeah, I was born into this. I'm walking into this. I thought it was one way. I thought it was moving one way, and that was important for them to show us that it was some supposed hope But now we see that there ain't we're in that abusive relationship, and the only out is to leave. Right? Sometimes you got to leave at night with your stuff and get out of here. But you got that one crazy ex, that crazy person who will go through any lengths to destroy you. So it doesn't matter if you go and you leave because they know where all the shelters are. They might even set up the shelter in order to get their thing done. So they don't want us back over there. They don't want us meddling with the people who are over there to say, "Hey, by the way, we should get together. We should do some things together." So we keep falling for the separation. Africans are different from African Americans, from blacks that are here, and Caribbeans. They're different too. They've been off the continent and stuff like that for hundreds of years, so they're not in any way, shape, or form connected. Even though they're still connected to UK, they're still connected to Ireland. They still identify with Italy. They still identify with their homelands. Why wouldn't we still identify with ours? Why are we so quick to want to divorce the people that we come from? And they're so quick to go, hey, I'm going to go over to a Scottish heritage. I want to go check out my heritage. They do it. They go over there to check out their heritage. To go to Scotland. This is where your great great grandmother left all this kind of stuff like that. That's called heritage. And we want to divorce ourselves from our heritage because we don't know the extent of our heritage. And they've gotten the Africans who are over there in, on the continent to think the same way. That we're the enemies. That we're some kind of way different. That, that we don't like them and we don't like them. Both ways. They don't like us and we don't like them. You want to keep those things at the forefront of your mind always. So anyway, all right, just talking again, and hope you enjoy the rest of your night. I'm gonna try and get some sleep at this point. All right, out.